Salem, Massachusetts, 1692. 150 townspeople were either sent to prison or executed. Why were these people persecuted? Were they innocent? Who was behind it all? If you were assigned to write a report on the Salem witch trials, where would you begin? A good way to begin your research for a report is to think about questions you want answered. If you don't know much about the topic, it's a good idea to begin with some general information. A good way to find general information is by looking for answers that will satisfy questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how. Now you need to organize this information. Look at your list of broad questions. What is most important for you to uncover, and what will form the basis of your paper? After thinking about these questions, you can narrow the focus of your research by writing a thesis statement. A thesis statement is a single sentence that explains exactly what point you are going to make about a topic. Once you have a thesis statement and know what you are going to write about, you can begin gathering information. As you watch this short film on the Salem witch trials, listen and watch for points you might like to research further. In the winter of 1692 in Salem, Massachusetts, some teenage girls began acting strangely. They went into convulsions, claimed to see frightening visions, and began accusing innocent people of witchcraft. This hysteria spread and eventually led to executions and imprisonments of innocent people. The first of the witchcraft fits began with the Paris children. They accused Tituba, a family servant known to practice non-Christian religion. But soon cases of convulsions and accused witches spread all over the town, and more citizens were caught up in the madness.
The person accusing the witch presented evidence that only he or she could see, the apparitions or the specters of the witches hurting them. And suddenly the girls would start biting their own lips until they bled, going, don't, you're hurting me.
According to historical records, during the Salem witch trials, Massachusetts colonists were in the middle of a brutal war with the Wabanaki Indians. The colonists believed anyone who came in contact with the Indians could have been influenced by the devil. When the girls in Salem came down with these strange illnesses, many villagers felt that the war with the Indians was to blame for the crisis.
The crisis began to spread when other girls in the community also began to have fits. Some of those girls were refugees from the Maine frontier, and they began to accuse people from the frontier who they believed to be collaborators with the Indians.
A victim of this conspiracy was Reverend George Burroughs. Burroughs was a minister. He was the only member of clergy to hang for witchcraft in 1692.
George Burroughs was looked upon as so atypical of what a good Puritan minister should be that the other ministers tended to want to gang up on him.
Historians believe that the real reason Burroughs was killed was that he opposed the war with the Indians. He was seen as a traitor and accused of being a conspirator.
Burroughs, it's time. Come on, get up.
There were harsh consequences for the accused. The accused were expected to admit guilt and await trial in jail, or deny the charges, stand trial immediately, and face the death penalty by hanging.
I'm not a witch!
Each person was put on one at a time on the ladder, turned off, the ladder would be moved, the next one would be put up.
Based on historical documents, historians now believe the local government was manipulating the testimony of the girls to support its religious agenda. The governor of Massachusetts sought to enhance his power and didn't stop the trials in Salem. This political game put 150 people in jail. 23 women and men paid with their lives. Those who were executed died because they chose a brutal public execution over a false confession. Today, all that remains of the accused and the accusers are their memory, and the question of whether what happened here could happen again. After watching the segment about the Salem witch trials, did you notice topics you could use for a research report? Were you able to identify a potential thesis statement? For example, the Salem witch trials were a result of political agendas motivated by religious fervor. Was there specific information about the topic that could support a thesis? What types of questions do you want answered? You might want to investigate other instances of persecution fueled by religious agenda. When else has this happened in history? Remember, when you research for a report, a good way to begin is to ask questions. Organize what is known, write a thesis statement, and then gather information. And look for topics that really interest you or questions you want to investigate.